All right, and joining me today is Caio Borralho, who fights Abus Magomedov at UFC Sao Paulo. That fight is on November 4th. So, before when we talked last time, Kai, you were talking about needing a finish in your last fight. You go out there, you not only do it, you do it in emphatic fashion. So, before we get to talking about this fight and all the lead up and stuff like that, tell me, how good did it feel to go in and get your first UFC finish?
Oh, it was so good to get the finish, bro. I was hoping to get this finish since my first fight in the UFC. Actually, since my first fight in the Contender Series, I was hoping to get a finish because I'm a finisher. I'm a guy that more than half of my fights when I got into the UFC, I got by finishing my opponents, or knockout or submission. So after finally get this finish, I was so happy. I was like fulfilled because I had a lot of things on my training camps. I I was doing a lot of work on my finishing, on my submission game, and when the fight came, all came along, and I'm very happy with it.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned Contender Series on there. I actually wanted to ask you about that as well, because this past Contender Series year was amazing for the Fighting Nerds. The Fighting Nerds was like the talk of the town. You got Gene Silva, you got Mauricio Ruffy, you got, Carlos Praches you've trained with. Like, all of those guys are like now the new generation of Fighting Nerds coming through. What was it like to see, so many of your guys get those contracts and join you in the UFC?
Oh, it was like a dream come true, bro. Like, was the same feeling when I got into the UFC, because when I came to the UFC, my dream is to bring all my training partners with me, all my team with me, and seeing these guys making it, it make my heart feel so good, feel so happy. The guys are working very, very hard. Uh, we got 4 fights in the Contender Series. We got 3 wins and 3 contracts, and I'm sure that next year we're gonna have like 4 or 5 more, and we're gonna be like, this is the fighting edge takeover that I've been talking about since the beginning. And this is the takeover, and the takeover started. So we're very happy, we're very blessed to have all the team with us. And I think it's just the beginning, man.
I dig it. Now, I never like asking people this question because sometimes it makes them feel like they're choosing their favorite child. But is there somebody we should have our eye on that will definitely be on next year's Contender Series? There's somebody in your camp who you feel like is ready for that next step?
Yeah, for sure. I think you guys need to be taking a look at Jair Farias, the same guy that fought this Contender Series and he lost. But something happening with him just right before the fight, and the things didn't go the way we wanted. So he's definitely a guy that are gonna be there again next year, and you guys will see an amazing show from him. And for sure, I think next year you guys need to take a look in a Cuban wrestler that we have is our Yoel Romero. So his name is Giovanni Palacios. He's fighting on LFA on November 3rd here in Sao Paulo, one day before my fight. He has 6-0, all 6 in the first round by finishing. He throws everybody in the air. He's a Greco-Roman Cuban wrestler guy. He's so strong. He's 170. And I think he's a great guy for you guys to be watching.
I dig it. That's a nice little insight right there for future picks. So now let's start to get to talking about your fight, because it seems like, we're like 4 or 5 fights in here and you've done it all. You've co-headlined cards. You've fought all over the world. You've picked up your big finish. You're now not getting a chance to co-headline, but what you are doing is you're fighting in Sao Paulo. So tell
Yeah.
me, what does it feel like to get the chance to go home and fight in front of the hometown crowd?
Bro, I can't wait, bro. I'm so excited. I'm so anxious about it because I have all the crowd cheering for me, like screaming my name and the traditional, vai morrer. This is something crazy and different about the Brazil's crowd. And when I knew that I was going to fight on this card, I was excited right away. And I know that all my people were gonna be pushing me to this victory. I know that when we enter the octagon, it's just me and my opponent. But when you have all this crowd and all this energy on you, helping you to get your victory and and everything that you want. I think they're gonna push me a lot. I think it's gonna make a huge difference inside the fight, and I can't wait, bro. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Now, let's talk a little bit about your opponent, too, because, like I said, you've co headlined cards. You've had big moments in the UFC. You've had those times where it looks like, that you're having your big star moment, but you're fighting a guy who's coming off of a main event, and not only a main event against the now champion in his last fight. So, not that you can pick one or the other, but is it a bigger moment to be fighting a guy like Abus who has had those big shots?
Actually, bro, to be honest with you, he doesn't deserve to fight me. You know, no, he's another time he's getting a fight that he doesn't deserve, and the result will be the same. He's not gonna win this fight. Because he in his first fight he won a guy that was 4 losses in his last 5 fights, and then he went right away into the rankings to fight Strickland, and you see what Strickland did to him because he didn't deserve the shot. I don't know why the UFC is pushing him, but the UFC know what he's doing. I trust UFC. So okay, if the only thing that made me accept this fight is because he lost to a champion. And after I beat him, that's what is gonna be my power. That's what I'm gonna say to everybody. Oh, I just beat a guy that was beaten only by the champion. So I deserve my spot on the top 5, on the top 10 to at least fight with a guys on top 5 or top 10. I don't care anymore about top 15 because I'll be passing all this. After beat him, I need a shot on top 10 or top 5. And that's why I accepted this fight right away.
And has it been frustrating for you that, they keep coming to you with these names who are, they're not ranked guys, but they're like right there on the edge of being ranked, right? Like Abus is, probably number 17, with you being 16. And like, is it frustrating that they're not giving you that name that would catapult you faster?
A little bit, but my mind is not thinking about it this way. I'm thinking about like the more time they pass without giving me the top 10 or top 5 shot, the more I'll be prepared. The more experienced I will be. I will have more fights in the UFC, I'll have more money on my pocket, and I'll be ready when the challenge comes. That's the way my mentality work. Of course, I I wanted to be a top 15 guy right now at least, but I, the UFC just said that they don't have the top 15 fight for me right now. I don't know if because they don't want or if because no one wants. So it doesn't matter. Like uh, as much as time is passing, I'm more prepared. I'm stronger. I'm better. I'm more experienced, and that's the way my mind works.
That's the mind of a champion right there. I dig it. So let's talk a little bit about the style matchup here because you mentioned he wasn't ready for Strickland, right? Came out in that first round, had a little bit of success. Clearly didn't have anything for him after that. You feel like the same thing is going to happen for you here. So tell us a little bit about what you see as maybe being your biggest advantage here over Abus.
Actually, I don't think he's gonna come start really, really hard because I think he learned a lesson with Strickland. So maybe he's gonna be in doubt of what to do. I think he's gonna try to be more composure and don't just go with big shots all the time. I think he's gonna be more experienced about it after his loss to Strickland. And to be honest, I think Abuz is a great fighter. I think he's good on the feet. He's good on the ground. He's a guy from Dagestan, so he has great wrestling for sure. He's long, just like Huziboev. But I think my advantage on this fight is that I didn't get anything that I didn't deserve. I earned it. I earned the shit. I've been through great guys. I've been through Sambo world champions, kickboxing world champion. A guy that was 14 win streak. The other guy was killing everybody on the division above, and I beat him the second round. So I earned this, and that's gonna be my biggest power on this fight. I know I deserve to win this fight. I know I deserve a top 10 or top 5 opponent after that, and what's gonna make difference on this fight. My will is gonna be stronger than his because he know he didn't earn the shot. You know, he just got this fight because of his manager or Ali Abdelaziz and all these guys. And I know I earned this shot. So that's gonna be my power against him.
I dig it. So I usually like to end these things, as you know, with a prediction. So how's this one end in the cage come November 4th?
It's hard. It's hard to give a prediction, brother. Like, because I'm fighting, so it's hard to do a prediction. But if I was going to do a prediction on this fight, I think I'm gonna knock him out in the second round. So that's what I'm gonna try to do all the time. I'm gonna try to get my first knockout victory in the UFC, and he's gonna pay for that.
All right. Well, you're here to hear first, folks. This is Caio Borralho, who fights Abus Magomedov at UFC Sao Paulo. That fight is once again on November 4th. God, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.